First of all, thank you for the invitation to be with you to open this very significant event this evening. And it's wonderful that the University Church has opened its doors for this, wonderful that the Broccoli King have offered to do this on behalf of everybody who's concerned about one of the most pressing problems that faces our city at the moment. I want to introduce this basically with two little pictures about 50 years apart. It's nearly 50 years since I came up to Cambridge as an undergraduate, and I hate hearing myself say that. But I think it was on the second or third evening I spent in the city that, walking back from an event, I met a homeless man and got into conversation, and then spent about the next 2 hours that evening simply walking around the city with him, listening to his story, and beginning to absorb something of what a problem even 50 years ago homelessness was, and how important it was to see that other side of Cambridge. Behind the postcards, there's a human reality that's very, very complex and very challenging. That was 50 years ago. In the years I spent here as an undergraduate, I got to know quite a lot of people who at that time were homeless, and the challenges were enormous. But at that time, you could probably count the number of rough sleepers in Cambridge in the, 20s or 30s at the outside. It's possible to know most of them. A lot of them were people who'd come out of the armed forces. A lot of them were middle-aged or elderly. Half a century on, we see the numbers hugely increased, and we see the demographics hugely changed. We see it as a problem that's about young people, not just people of older years. We see it as a problem whose numbers are growing all the time, year upon year. And we see it now, even perhaps more than then, as a problem about the contrasts within a city of extreme prosperity and activity. And my second little picture is from a couple of years ago when I was spending a night out with the street pastors in Cambridge, and conscious of the fact that side by side you'd see the rough sleepers in the shop doorways around the city centre, and you'd see the crowds coming out of the clubs after a long and expensive night. And I thought, what's it like if you're a rough sleeper, night after night, to see prosperity of a kind in front of you, like that, having your own disadvantage rubbed into you again and again? Now, every rough sleeper, every homeless person in the city has a different story. And sometimes when my students ask, well, what can we do for people in Cambridge we meet who are homeless, my answer is, the one thing you can give them is a bit of time and human attention. Learn their names, hear a bit of their story. Because in a sense, everything starts from there. That's when you begin to see people in a different light, when you begin to see this not as a problem of threatening other people with a capital O, but people who share a lot with you. Ultimately, people who share a humanity with you. When you begin to understand that they share a humanity with you, you begin to wonder why they don't really share a city with you in the fullest possible sense. What kind of city can we become where sharing becomes a reality? Well, in a nutshell, I think that's the question that we're all trying to address. At every level of the city's life, it's good to have people here from residents' associations, from the council, from all sorts of bodies across Cambridge, who I think share that concern that we are a city which is, in that sense, inclusive. Not a place where inequality spirals off in endlessly different directions, but where we are actually setting ourselves a target of communication with one another, understanding of one another, and work together for everybody's well-being. The last 50 years, as I've said, haven't seen very much improvement in all this. So let's see what the next 50 days, or weeks, or months can do. We have, God knows, the resources in Cambridge to meet this. We have, as this evening's attendance shows, the goodwill to tackle it. So I really hope that from this evening we can go out and get on with it, so that there won't be, in 50 years' time, another story to tell like the one I've just told you. Thank you.